A friend of mine actually went to a benefit that they were holding in California. International Medical Corps' real incentive is to train locals to become self-sufficient. So I saw a lot of the positive work that they were doing, and there are a lot of hopeful stories amongst the sadness. It's a sad place at the moment, Congo. It's hard.
Well, Nancy, your team, they're usually the first on the ground, right?
Yes.
When something happens, when a crisis happens.
So one of the ways we provide frontline health care is really through, as Sienna said, through the people in the community. So in something like, the terrorist attacks, International Medical Corps has responded multiple times during some of the terrorist attacks. In Jakarta some years ago, we trained local Indonesians to provide assistance so that if anything ever happened like that again, they could do it. In Kenya some years ago, when there was a terrible bombing, there was no way to transport patients quickly. So we got on the ground and started working with local Kenyans and trained them to come up with a transport system so that they could transport patients to the ambulance or to the hospital more quickly. So that's how we've been involved in these terrible, terrible things over the years, and trying to work with locals to build their own resilience, to respond more quickly.
Now, how has Sienna's work helped your organization?
Well, so Sienna, who knows our work so well, having been involved for many years and spent time in the field, knows that we've often flown under the radar screen and has lended her great name and recruited a number of celebrities to join our first responder campaign to raise attention around the fact that the best way to respond to anything is to help people locally to respond. And so this campaign allows people like Sienna and others to stand behind these first responders and to recruit other people to that kind of cause.
Now, how do you make sure that the celebrities that you are recruiting into this cause are not doing it because it looks good or it's a pet cause for them, but they genuinely do care?
I think you have to have a certain amount of faith in humanity, and even in the worst case scenario that somebody was doing it for their own benefit, if it benefits the organization, so be it. You can't kind of govern these things, and of course I feel like I have every faith in the first responder teams that I've managed to get together. We have an incredible list of people who I can vouch for personally as they're friends of mine. But even if their motives are misplaced, if it helps us, great.
It helps bring the word out.
Yeah,
it helps get the word out. And with Sienna's leadership, she draws people who are dedicated and motivated in the way that she is. So that helps us in a great way. And also, when people lend their name, there's a certain amount of work involved. It's not, it's a wonderful thing for them to do that. And if they're able to shine the spotlight on the suffering and it brings other people to the table regardless of their motives, that helps a lot. It saves lives.
What have you learned so far in some of the sessions and ones that you've been sitting in on that's going to help you, that's going to help inform you in your work with the International Medical Corps?
I saw a very interesting plenary yesterday with Hillary Clinton and with Queen Rania. It was extraordinary, a conversation essentially about the role of women and girls in the world, and it's a really big issue, this. I think a lot of people are focusing on it this year. There really isn't equality like there should be in this is the 21st century, so I think that focus has been really enlightening for me to have those discussions. We have our talk tomorrow, which I'm very much looking forward to. But just being a part of CGI and being here to kind of spread the word about our organisation is a huge honour. And obviously for all these people to get together and kind of collaborate and give exposure to issues which might otherwise have not been recognised is a huge opportunity.
You have a great brand. So are you interested at all in going back into fashion or developing a line or cosmetics, beauty, anything?
Who knows? I'd never say never, but I have recently had a baby, and between my work with the International Medical Corps and the baby and my acting, I really can't imagine much time for anything else.
One other thing we saw with the Emmys over the weekend is Netflix won an Emmy, the first one for Netflix for Best Director of House of Cards. And there's so much change going on in Hollywood, in particular online content, original content being made for online platforms. Do you see yourself eventually moving towards more of those platforms? Is there more acceptance in Hollywood for platforms like that?
I think there is. I mean, I think the nature, it's not exclusive to the industry that I'm in. I think the nature of the world is changing in this way, and it's extraordinary, but of course that industry has to keep up. I think there's very little difference now between film and television, whereas before there used to be it was completely polarized. I think people are really capable of doing anything now. There's not much judgment. When you see Matt Damon and Michael Douglas on television, it goes to show that the lines have been crossed. And I think the ability to download, I watched House of Cards. I was a huge fan of that show, and I love that I could download it. I love that I didn't have to wait a week. We're in the kind of generation of not being very patient. We need immediate. We want what we want, and we want it now. So it's obviously a theory that has worked very well for Netflix.
It has. Although I noticed that you're not very big on social media, are you?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. It's just not for me. I think I just would feel a little bit too exposed. I feel like no, I need to retain a certain amount of privacy for myself. I have no judgment. I'm sure it would be very good for my brand, but I just can't quite bring myself to do it, and I don't trust myself.